Hey, welcome back to the next chapter. I'm B9. This is chapter 11, Sound Advice. So, I'm going to try to give you some sound advice from the perspective of a person who has been in a failed marriage, but also someone who has in the past experienced real love and been in a wonderful relationship. The reason why I decided to do this video tonight was earlier today, someone posted on Facebook a link to a TikTok. And the TikTok was a woman talking to men. She wanted to give some advice to men on how to keep a woman and how to make this woman happy. And she was talking about how she had been married for 17 years. And it's a Christmas story, right? Okay, because it's Christmas time. So she met her husband just before Christmas, and so they didn't spend their first Christmas together. They had just started dating, but by the following Christmas, they had gotten married, and she was pregnant with their first child. Her husband was in the military, and he was going to be on deployment. So he did something that she wasn't expecting because she had come from a family where her parents got divorced, and she wasn't really involved with her biological father, I believe she said, but her stepdad didn't do things for Christmas in the way that what her husband was going to do. But um, so she saw her mom doing these things. So her first Christmas, she's pregnant. He's going on deployment, and he had the idea to get together some of the things, the snacks and different things that she had cravings for, things that she liked during her pregnancy. And he stuffed her stocking so that on Christmas, even though he wasn't there, she had this thoughtful gift from him. She had these things that he thought of, right? And she brings this up because, like I said, with her mom, she witnessed her mom stuffing the stockings herself because her stepdad didn't do that. So she thought that was cool, right? So the following year, her husband was home. And so, again, based off of what she saw her mom doing, she thought it was her responsibility to do the Christmas shopping and do the things that, she thought a woman was supposed to do in a marriage. So she stuffed her son's stocking. She stuffed her husband's stocking. She stuffed her own stocking and she hung it up. And when she was doing that, her husband walked out and saw her and he asked her what she was doing. And she told him she was hanging up the stockings. And he asked, "Why is your stocking stuffed?" And she said, "Well, I just got stuff for my stocking because I was stuffing the stockings and I figured that's what I was supposed to do." And he said, "No, I've spent months planning what to put in your stocking and picking out things that I wanted to put in your stocking. And it's my job to do that for you." And she goes on to talk about different things that he's done at Christmas time, right? Um, One example was that she said that he now gets her a gift that's something special, something sentimental, and he'll make the kids stop unwrapping presents and focus on mommy while she unwraps this gift. And she said that makes her feel special. Now, as somebody who's been in a marriage with a narcissist and who's felt unappreciative or unappreciated, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I happen to think pretty highly of my friends' wives. Um, so I shared this link with my friends in a group chat, and I said, "Hey, um, this is some sound advice, since you guys have good women. And I said, I did stuff like this with my ex-girlfriend 20 years ago or whatever, and tried it with the ex, but it was pointless basically. And I wasn't looking for anything out of that other than I just wanted to share this video with them because I personally thought it was some good advice. But one of the responses that I got was, what do you want us to say to that? Do you want some sympathy? And so let me touch on that real quick. When I do these videos, I'm not looking for anything in return. I'm not trying to solicit anything. Now, you'll hear me talk about sympathy. You'll hear me talk about empathy. You'll hear me talk about my feelings. You'll hear me talk about how I think um, things should be or whatever. But I'm talking about this stuff just because I feel like I have something to say and that what I have to say can benefit somebody. I'm not doing this because I want you to feel bad for me. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not trying to throw a pity party. I don't want to be pitied. That's not my goal. So that kind of, struck a nerve with me. Um, like I said, I'm not trying to get sympathy from anybody. So with that, I figured, hey, on my drive home tonight, I'm like, I'm going to do a video on some sound advice from a divorcee. So 20 years ago, I just talked about, I tried similar things with my ex-girlfriend 20 years ago. Quick background, I was head over heels in love with this woman. Absolutely amazing. I'm sure I've talked about her before, but she's the one that got away, right? And she could walk in a room, and the second she walked in the room, I'd start smiling. I could be having a bad day, and the second I talked to her or hugged her or kissed her or whatever, I instantly felt better. Like, she was great. Now, at that time, she had just gotten out of a marriage, uh, a mentally abusive marriage, I'll say. She wasn't happy with the situation she was in. So she had gotten a divorce, and it was coming up on this time of year. It was Christmas time, right? And she realized that when she left her favorite Christmas tree. So she was a little bit down about that. And she mentioned it one day, and it was just kind of like a casual conversation. Like, she wasn't like asking me to do anything. It just dawned on her that, she didn't have this Christmas tree. So one day she's at work, and I decide that I'm gonna do this for her. I'm gonna get her a Christmas tree. So I went to the store. I bought a tree. I bought lights. I bought ornaments. I bought the tinsel. I think I bought some stockings and the tree skirt, all that stuff. And while she was at work, I set this all up. And then I went to the movie with some of my friends. I turned all the lights off in the apartment so that when she walked in, the only thing that was on was this Christmas tree. And when I came out of the movie, I had a voicemail from her, and she said, "You're the best, baby. I love you," and blah, blah, blah. And she was so ecstatic about this tree. And when I got home, she was just so happy, and it made me feel good that I had done this for her, that she was so receptive of it and so pleased with it. Um, she was appreciative of what I had done. And I was just trying to make her happy, So by doing something for her, by trying to make her happy, make her feel good, um, she made me feel great. She made me feel like I had done this amazing thing. And I was just trying to put a smile on her face. Now, I've tried or had tried different things like that with my ex-wife. Um, Not necessarily that same thing, but just trying to do little simple things that would make her feel special. Um, for example, she graduated from cosmetology school, and her certificate came, and she was not really feeling it anymore. Like she had lost her enthusiasm for it. And I don't remember the circumstances at the time that made her feel that way. But to me, it's like, okay, this is a big deal. You just, spent all this time and effort into doing this. And so I had a certificate for something. I don't remember what it was, but it was framed. And so I took my certificate out and I put hers in and I hung it on the wall in our living room. And the next morning she got up and she saw it and she was excited. She appreciated that I did it. And then it kind of got, you know, brushed on the rug. It wasn't a big deal. And that's fine. Like I said, I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it to try to make her feel good about it. And it worked for a little bit. And if you're in a relationship with a narcissist or have been in a relationship with a narcissist, and we've talked about this many times about how they're incapable of displaying emotions or showing their feelings. Um, at the time I was like, okay, she's over it that quick, but now I understand that she just couldn't do anything about it. But there was other times where I planned weekend getaways. I remember one weekend I took her to a hotel in up north, and it was a casino, and on a lake. We're in Michigan. It was right off of Lake Michigan, and so we went to the casino and we went out to the lake and took pictures and things like that. And she seemed happy at the time, but again, the second it was over, it was like it never happened. And to me, I'm thinking, okay, we're creating all these great memories together, and to her, it was just another day. So some sound advice from somebody who's experienced loved and somebody who's been like to cheated on, manipulated, or whatever you want to say, um, who's gone through a bad marriage. So if you've got a spouse that you are head over heels in love with, you adore them, um, you want to make them feel special, do the little things. Pay attention to the things that they like. Um, Attention to detail is huge. I mean, don't take anything for granted when it comes to your relationship. Nothing's too small, nothing's too big. Pay attention to all of it, because at some point it might help you out. They might say something in passing, something casual, and if you remember it and you can go back to that later on, it might be a big deal. Kind of like the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree, like I said, she just kind of mentioned it, but when I did that for her, it was huge. She was happy. Um, so remember those little things. Um, Maybe it's, they lost a grandparent, and the grandparent used to make cookies. Maybe you find some cookies that are similar to grandma's and you give those to her. Or, if their favorite color is pink, maybe you send some pink roses to her at work or bring some home after work, whatever. But just doing these little things, these little tokens of appreciation, it can go a long way in a relationship. Um, put into it what you want put into you. So you might not want your wife to bring you flowers or your girlfriend to bring you flowers, but you want them to recognize the effort that you put into things. You want to appreciate you for your hard work and things like that. So why not pour that into them? If they're working a full-time job and then they're also coming home and taking care of the house and taking care of the kids, show them that you appreciate that. Show them that you love them for doing what they're doing. Um, you can't go wrong with it. I mean, it's literally a win for you to make sure that they're happy. And yeah, uh, like I said, just put into the relationship what you want to be put into you. Give it your effort, give it your all. I mean, we all go to work and we're determined we're going to make money to support our family. We're going to do this, this, and this. Well, we got to have that same energy when we're at home with our family. We got to bring that same A game. I'm going to make my family the best family. I'm going to make my wife the happiest wife. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And it doesn't have to be financial. You don't have to do anything to make them happy. It can be as simple as walking up behind them while they're in the kitchen and rubbing their shoulders. Um, a big one that I've noticed that women loved throughout my years. A woman likes to know that you are still attracted to her. So even if you have no interest in getting something started at that particular moment, if you walk past your wife in the kitchen and you don't smack her on the ass, there is something wrong with you and you need to get checked out. But do that. Give them a little tap on the ass. They like it. Don't go Donald Trump on them, but just let them know you're there. Give them a kiss on the cheek afterwards. I'm telling you, they love that stuff. But but maybe you walk into the kitchen while she's doing the dishes. Maybe you help put away the dishes. Maybe that's a good time for you guys to talk about how your day went. Um, maybe if she just did a load of laundry, maybe you help fold, put the laundry away. Maybe if you're sitting on the couch and she's laying down next to you, give her a foot massage, something like that. These are all things that you can do that don't cost you anything, that can help improve your relationship with your spouse. Um, try to be the best that you can. And I can say, like, for me, yeah, I was in a relationship with a great woman, and that relationship came to an end. And it was because I was young and stupid, and I didn't put in as much as I thought I was putting in. But I did learn from that. Um, I had to lose someone great in order for me to really focus on the type of spouse that I wanted to be. And so with my ex, I tried to do that. I tried to be that spouse. Um, and even though my marriage failed, I can look back on it now and say that I did what I was supposed to do. I gave my all in that relationship. Now, I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes, but I was a good husband. And before that, I was a good boyfriend. I was just in a relationship with a bad wife or a bad girlfriend, somebody who has mental health issues, somebody who is narcissistic, somebody who can't appreciate me, who can't understand any of that. So, again, like I said, I did what I was supposed to do, in my opinion. She might say something different. That's her problem. But I feel like I gave everything. And some would say I did literally. But I learned from that first relationship that you got to put in a lot. You put in that work. Give them what you want them to give you. And one thing that I've learned is that communication is a big deal in relationships. Talk openly with your spouse about how you're feeling. Let them know where you're at mentally. If there's something in the relationship that you're not happy about, talk to them. Because not everybody's a mind reader. Not everybody's going to be able to channel, exactly what you're feeling. Now, there are some relationships where you're going to just know what the other person's thinking or know what they're feeling. And those are great, but that's not going to happen 100% of the time. So, if there's something going on that can be fixed, sometimes the only way to fix it is to address it. And if you give them that opportunity, then maybe you can resolve that issue without it growing or reaching a level where it can't be fixed. Um, and one of the things that I think is kind of unique, because I'm talking about communication, um, is not communicating. Um, my ex girlfriend that I was talking about, that I was with 20 years ago, um, she told me that a good indication that we were comfortable with each other and that we were happy and content with each other uh, was our ability to be in a room with one another and not feel like we had to talk. We could sit in complete silence and just chill and not say a word for an hour. Um, and to her, that meant that we were comfortable. And so I've looked for that in relationships since then. And I couldn't do that with my ex wife. There was no way we could be in the same room and her not say something. Um, because, again, with a narcissist, she has to be in control. And so she felt like if I was quiet, then there was something going on. And so she needed to come in and figure out what's going on and try to get me to speak so she could take control of the situation. So if you're able to hang out with your spouse and not talk, then that might be a good sign. That might be a sign that you guys are a good match and that you're comfortable. Uh, and when I say a good match, I mean, obviously if you're married, hopefully you're a good match. But if you're just dating, maybe that's a good indicator for you. That's something, like I said, that's something I've looked for in relationships over the last 20 years and have not been able to accomplish that goal. Um, but now I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit. I want to give a little bit of sound advice to the women that tune in. I know there are a few, um, but something that men need in a relationship is reassurance. Um, if your man is working hard to support the family, um, if he's showing that he's dedicated to you, he's committed to the relationship, he's committed to the marriage or whatever, uh, make sure that you recognize that. Make sure that you show him that you see what he's doing, because everybody needs a pat on the back at some time, and that's big for men. We need to know that our efforts are not going unnoticed. Like, we say that we don't need recognition. A lot of times we don't, but just out of nowhere, hey, honey, you're doing a good job. I appreciate you. You're such a hard worker. I love you. Blah blah blah. Just throw that at them sometimes. Sometimes that can brighten up a day. You know, maybe you just give them a hug for no reason. Give them a kiss. You know, get romantic, whatever. I'm not telling you what to do. What you do in the privacy of your bedroom is your business. But if you can communicate to your man that you love and appreciate him, it goes a long way. And same thing that I just said to the guys, put into the relationship what you want put into you. Give him the same level of love and appreciation that you want him to give you. And I promise things will go great. Men are simple. We're very, very simple. We don't need a lot of anything. We need a little bit of attention. We need a little bit of loving, and we need some appreciation. We need those pats on the back, and that's about it. You can leave us alone in the room for hours and we'll be fine. But if you come in and you give us a hug, give us a kiss, whatever, that might make our day. Um, Something I did a long time ago, and I would encourage people to do. Um, I would say if you're going through a rough patch, but I think it's a good idea to do it at any point in a relationship if you're happy or if there's a problem. Um, Read the five love languages. Do the love dare. Um, there's a movie that goes along with it called Fireproof. Um, it's kind of a religious movie, but it goes along with that. But I was it religious? I think it is. But yeah, um, I think you can learn a lot about where you are in your relationship and what you need from your spouse or what your spouse needs from you by reading the five love languages. Now, I tried this. I read the book on the recommendation of my now ex sister in law. And I actually think this was before we got married. She recommended this book to me, and I read it. And so my ex is not the type to read a book. Um, and this was when iPads and stuff were first coming out. I think maybe the second generation iPad had just come out. So I bought her an iPad for Christmas, and so I downloaded this book onto her iPad to hoping that she would read it and get a little bit of understanding of what some of my love languages were, because she um, was the type to not try to really understand. And she still, we were together for 10 years. She still doesn't really know anything about me. Um, for years, for birthdays, Christmas, Father's Day, my gifts were always something related to Michigan State. So the only thing that she could think of that I liked was Michigan State. Um, and that was it. You know, um, if you ask her what my dream car is, she has no clue. If you ask her what my favorite color is, she has no clue. Uh, Things like that. She doesn't know anything about me, but I know everything about her. At least the things that she was honest about. But I tried to get her to um, read the five love languages. I tried to do the love dare, um, and it was just pointless. It was a failure on my part. It never turned into anything. Um, but I did get an understanding myself of what my own love languages were, as well as understanding hers. And so then I tried to cater to those things with her, and it worked for all of maybe a week, and then she, just kind of shut down on me. And I think if I remember correctly, I tried to just tell her what my love languages were, and she didn't understand because she wouldn't read the book. Um, but yeah, so I strongly recommend doing that. Finding things that you have in common. I know sometimes that can be a tough one. Um, a lot of guys are into sports, and a lot of women don't necessarily want to watch 3 hours of football or spend the whole day on a Sunday watching football. But if you can watch a little bit of football with a guy, that goes a long way. Guys love it when their women are willing to support them in sports. And then that means that sometimes we have to be able to support our women in the things that they like. So if they want to watch whatever new romantic comedy or whatever romance film is out, you might have to suck it up and watch that shit. I mean, I've watched 50 Shades of Grey, and I mean, it's got its bright spots, but it wasn't my kind of movie. But but just finding common ground and working with each other. Sometimes you got to make those sacrifices for one another. um, I see a lot of relationships that are grounded in faith that are really strong. Um, and so if you are single and you have a strong sense of faith, then you're probably gonna find somebody in that same sphere that that might work out to be the best thing in your life. And like me, I'm a religious person, but I could be better. Um, and like for example, when I met my ex-wife, I was hoping that I was going to find someone who was a good church going woman. And she led me to believe that she was. And I found out later on that she actually wasn't. Um, but at that point, the relationship had started to build. We did not meet at church. We met online back when MySpace was still around. Um, but we spoke on a Saturday night, and I got to go to bed. I'm going to church in the morning. Um, Things like that, and she was going to church, but she wasn't going because she wanted to. She was going because she lived with her aunt, and her aunt was making her go. So I found that out later on. Um, I think after that, the only time she stepped foot into a church was for funerals. And then kind of towards the end of our marriage, um, she found a church that she enjoyed going to. And I enjoyed it. It was different than the churches I grew up going to. A little bit more relaxed atmosphere, and I enjoyed going. And went a few times without her when she didn't want to get up and go. Um, but then once the divorce process started, I felt a little bit out of place because she had gone to the church with some of her false allegations against me. And so I kind of had to stop going there because I didn't feel comfortable. And find out later on that she was taking advantage of a lot of people at that church, lying and manipulating them, um, and dragging my name through the mud in the process. So uh, that kind of bothered me, but and I haven't really searched for a church home since then. I think um, I've got a few places where I'd like to get to go, but I've got a old mentor, one of my high school teachers and friends, who's a pastor at a church, but it's a couple hours away, so I don't really get to go check that out. But he does live stream his services, so every once in a while on a Sunday, I'll get up and watch his service on Facebook Live. Um, and then there's a church locally in the city I grew up in. It's not far from where I live. That I've thought about going to visit quite a few times, but have yet to do it. So I need to get myself into that because my oldest daughter, she recently expressed interest in learning more about the Bible and understanding our religion. She knows what I've taught her, but I'm no expert. Um, I'm only able to teach her the basics, and she wants to get a better understanding. She wants to understand the culture that goes along with the religion. So I need to do that. So I'm getting off topic there. So if you're able to get grounded in your religion with your spouse or significant other, then I think that's a great way to go too. Um, so I think I've given some sound advice. I hope that I have. I'm sure there's a lot more that I can say, but maybe I'll say it in another chapter. Doesn't necessarily have to be tonight. But I hope everybody takes something from this. And like I said, just understand that when I do these videos, I am not looking for sympathy. I take full responsibility for my actions and my life. I don't regret anything that I've done. Um, I don't regret my situations. I don't regret my relationships because I wouldn't have gotten to where I am today. I wouldn't have gotten the the kids that I have today if my life had turned out any differently. So I don't regret it. You know, there's some things I wish I had done a little bit better, or some things that I wish I had picked up on sooner. But it is what it is. I can't go back and change it, and I'm content with that. And I'm not going to dwell on it. And I'm not trying to seek attention. You know, anyway, and when I'm talking about how I'm personally feeling, like where I'm at mentally in my life, that's just me talking. Again, that's just me letting things out. That's me getting things off my chest, because this is a tool for me also. So take it for what it is. Um, I'm not probably going to give any more advice in a group chat, but it is what it is. The people that understand, understand, right? So until next time, I'm B9. I'll catch you on the next chapter.